So, good morning, everybody. We shall continue our discussion on ultrasonic transducer applications. So, today we shall discuss about ultrasonic flow meters, Doppler cross correlation, and time of flight methods. You might have also covered these topics in your instrumentation devices one class while discussion of flow meter. However, we will just go through it as applications of ultrasound. After that, we shall discuss about ultrasound application in medical imaging. With that, we shall conclude these piezoelectric sensors and devices. Maybe we may discuss one application of piezoelectric actuator, either inkjet printer head or some such application, one or two we shall discuss of piezoelectric actuators. So first one we shall discuss about ultrasound Doppler flow meter. There are also equivalent, very similar Doppler flow meter is there using laser as well. So those are laser Doppler flow meters. Depending on the type of applications, people use ultrasonic Doppler flow meter or laser Doppler flow meter. If the density is higher, that the particle density is higher, like slurry transport and some other transport where the transmission of laser is difficult. So in such cases, ultrasonic Doppler flow meter is ideal. As well, if the density is more, like solid particulates are more, then the transmission of or coupling of sound and the energy becomes easier. So therefore, ultrasonic Doppler flow meter is ideal for such cases. So this one, let us first draw the diagram. So this is a pipe, and then ultrasound probe is here, where transmitter and receiver will be mounted. Then here are basically, in case of liquid like water and oil, where the particles or the air bubbles are relatively rare, so in such cases we can use ultrasound, but laser Doppler will also work quite well. the velocity is v meters per second, and the direction of the velocity is like that. Depending on the direction of the velocity, there could be positive shift of frequency or negative shift of frequency. As such, when we are measuring just the shift that we shall discuss here, it is difficult to determine the direction of the velocity. To determine the direction of the velocity, we will require a frequency shift. So that means a additional frequency shift will be added to the transmitted one by another acoustic modulator put at the transmission end, so that the velocity, if it is shifted plus delta f or minus delta f, so that will be a shifted bias plus minus delta f. So from that we can determine the directions, but here we shall just discuss the magnitude as given in Bentley. So this is ultrasound transmitter and receiver. Let the velocity of sound in the medium be c. Meters per second. Now, due to Doppler effect, ultrasonic wave of frequency f will experience a shift. So this shift is given, can be determined from the sound velocity and the particle velocity. The velocity of sound relative to the observer is say c plus v cos theta. This is the angle is given as theta. C plus B cos theta. Therefore, apparent frequency f test seen by the observer is given by f dashed by f C plus B cos theta by C. So basically what is happening is that when uh, the source transmitter transmits the sound wave and excites the particle is also moving. Particle is also, suppose this is a particle, so this particle is also moving at a velocity v, and so therefore uh, the frequency as observed by the particle, which will act as a secondary source, so that will also experience a frequency shift. And then secondly, when the secondary source is emitting the sound and that is getting received, the scattered sound is basically interpreted as a sound from the secondary source, which is scattered from the particle, and that is getting received by the receiver. So when it is getting excited, the particle, the scattering particles, in the medium acts as a secondary source. Moving with velocity v, In this case, velocity of sound wave relative to the source C minus B cos theta. Therefore, F double dashed by F dashed is equal to C by C minus B cos theta. So from this we can take the ratio of F dash and the original frequency F, then the ratio F double dashed by F is equal to C plus B cos theta divided by C minus B cos theta. So that is equal to F into one plus B by C cos theta, 1 minus B by C cos theta. Now we can expand this. B by C, assuming it is less than 1. So this 1 by 1 minus x can be expanded as 1 plus x square, etc. plus x cubed, like that. So expanding 1 by 1 minus B by C cos theta and subsequently neglecting higher order terms, that is square onwards. Assuming B by C much less than 1. F test minus F is equal to twice F by C twice Bf by C into cos theta. So here the original frequency F is constant. Also, if we assume the velocity of sound in the medium as constant, and theta is the installation angle, so which is also constant, then we can calibrate the frequency shift with respect to velocity. So this is equal to delta F. So assuming C to be constant, valid for similar mass fraction and density, theta and F are instrument parameters. Shifted frequency delta F is proportional to V. So the scheme is like that. Like there is a crystal transmitter which is excited by RF oscillator. There is a adder here. The receiver signal is amplified and fed to the adder so that the shifted frequency will be picked up because they are additive. So then the shifted frequency will be further processed, either frequency to voltage converter, or that can be done as shown in Bentley by rectifier and low pass filter. That is one way. There are other ways as well. Usually the problem is that this measurement will be a transited nature. So because as you can see in real scenario, if we would have done experiment in our lab with some particle tracing agents put on the water, then these are the particles. Now, as you can see, not always this transmitter is hitting the particles. Not always. Okay, so sometimes it will hit the particle, and then if the scattering angle, heating angle and the scattering angle is matched, then it will have that receiver will catch sufficient energy to be detected. So therefore, if we look at this signal, this would be like a transit signal. Then again, it may go. There is another will come like that. Signal may come. So it depends that when this transmitter is successfully hitting, and if the angle is good, then scattering cross section captured by the receiver is good enough, then we have a good contrast of the signal, and we will have a better modulation depth and similarly good output here. But otherwise, the output amplitude of the frequency may vary. Nevertheless, the frequency will be detected, and that frequency is converted to voltage. So therefore, the value here, voltage value, will be proportional to frequency. So therefore, the amplitude, if our frequency detector is good, then this amplitude variation should not affect. Of course, there would be some floor noise level which may affect the frequency estimation in real scenario, because there could be multiple scattering. So that may give rise to the floor noise. Also, there will be reflection from the other side of the pipe. So all those gives rise to the floor noise. So in real scenario, that need to be taken care of. So our next topic would be ultrasonic cross correlation flow meter. You have studied cross correlation flow meters in devices 1 while discussion on flow meter. So here we are discussing ultrasonic cross correlation flow meter. There could be electromagnetic or capacitive cross correlation flow meters as well. Other kind of cross correlation flow meters also exist. Just like any other cross correlation flow meter, the ultrasonic cross correlation flow meter is also based on the measurement available, two pairs between a pair of sensor. So this is the transmitter and receiver set for the pair, for the one set. This is the transmitter and receiver set 2.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, what is the function of an RF oscillator?
It's a voltage control oscillator where you can generate radio frequency level signal, electrical signal. So that is either 20 megahertz, 40 megahertz or 100 megahertz, where our piezoelectric resonance frequencies or resonance happens. So at that frequency, usually that is in the megahertz. So that's why it is written RF. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So this is an oscillator. In megahertz. The distance between this pair of transceiver set is L. The velocity p meters per second. Then just like before, there are particles. Usually, if we want to measure for velocity of homogeneous fluids like water or oil, where there would be some voids or may not be any voids. If there is void, then there will be a very good reflections will come because if these are voids, these particles are air pockets, then the acoustic impedance difference between the liquid and this void would be very high. So there will be a lot of scattering will happen. But if there is nothing of that sort in that case, in the previous case also, so we can give say tracer particles which are launched just before it is injected, just before this measurement site. There will be another port upstream to launch the tracer particles. Subsequently, the tracer particles are collected in the downstream. Then we have amplifier. This amplifier, as in Bentley, you can see alternative feedback oscillator is given. That is that that is for amplitude and phase demodulators, which can be done by lock-in amplifiers. So using lock-in amplifier, we can measure very small amplitudes and also the phase. So therefore, if we want to lock in, then there would be a reference frequency, and this reference frequency can come from this transmitter site. So that could be through an amplifier. Generally for lock-in amplifier, of course, this amplifier, which is shown here as the feedback amplifier, feedback oscillators.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, can you explain why locking is required? Like we are already getting a phase like frequency shift, and we can take just a minute.
Yeah, but what happens is that generally if the amplitude of this signal is quite low and noisy, like say I have a signal like this, okay? So actually I want to measure this frequency. This is my frequency. But as you can see, if the noise level is very high, so then such kind of measurement will be difficult. And in fact, if you measure, the dominant frequency will come this frequency, which may be some power frequency or some other kind of driver frequency which has been picked up by this circuit. Okay, so because here is there could be other vibrations also picked up by this. So that pipe vibration will also be reflected here. So now if I want to take this small one, so this will be multiplied by a reference frequency. Sorry, I think. Okay, I more or less the drawing is not good, but you can understand. So this is the reference. Now, if you multiply this one, which has a high amplitude, it can be square wave also as well, or sinusoidal. Generally, both options are present. So now, if we multiply this one over a large number of time period, then what will happen? That the positive and then integrate them. If we multiply and for a large time and integrate, so this is say x RT and this is XMT. Now, if we do this, what will happen? If T is several time periods of this base frequency, then there will be a probability of these oscillations to be biased either to the positive side or negative side synchronously with the reference frequency. Then the reference frequency amplitude will be picked up, because if we ideally if it is from minus infinity to plus infinity, then from the orthogonality principle, what will happen? That if we take the dot product of a sinusoidal component, which exactly is sinusoid, with another sinusoid which of different frequency, that will vanish because they are orthogonal. Two sinusoids of different frequency are orthogonal to each other. So if I take the dot product of that, they will vanish. So only there will be their component reference frequency.
So sir,
yeah.
Sir, we can say that the phase lock, the whole phase lock and frequency lock system is used just to magnify the original huge
magnify and filter.
Yeah, magnify and filter. Okay, magnify
Yes.
the smaller frequency and filter it. Right.
Yes.
Filter the wave and magnify the smaller frequency. Okay. Thank you.
Yes. That is the lock-in principle. So
and then the difference is taken from the RF oscillator from the transmitter and then the output of the phase lock, right?
Yes, output of the phase lock. So there too will be that R theta will be given as the output. So amplitude and phase both will be given as the lock-in output. So that experiment is there in our lab, but I think maybe sometime when you come back, we can do it. So this is the correlator. So basically what is happening is that we have putting one set of transmitter and receiver at this place, another set of transmitter and receiver in this place. Now what is the assumptions made here? Assumption made that the distribution of these particles will more or less remain same. More or less remain same while traveling capital L distance. So that means if there is, say, non-laminar flow and too much of cyclonic flow is there, in that case it may be difficult. Otherwise, even if the distribution is disturbed a little bit, however, because we are correlating the two signals, so therefore there will be a good correlation corresponding to the distributions. So that we can the upstream sensor output signal XT and downstream sensor output signal YT are correlated or rather cross correlated as RXY beta limit t tends to infinity 1 by t 0 to t x t minus beta yt dt, where beta is equal to the time taken by the particles from going sensor 1 to sensor 2. So this will be maximum between this as a maximum at Okay. Beta equal to L by V corresponding to the peak or maxima position of the cross correlated output.
Excuse me, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, YT is the other signal entering the correlator.
No, because to correlate, actually we need two. Cross correlation we are doing with two signals.
Yes, sir. So which is YT?
YT, this is YT.
Oh, okay. So then why is XT called upstream and YT called downstream? Because even though both are on the same flow.
No, because this is the velocity direction we have assumed.
Yes, sir.
So up and down.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that way.
Thank you, sir.
So if we take T sufficiently large, then the noise floor will be minimized. So, however, usually the choice of capital T depends on the diameter of the pipe. It depends on the diameter. And the average density of the particulates. So usually this is fixed corresponding to a certain installation as while commissioning the cross correlation flow meter. So again, just like previous case, if there is no particle, then the distribution will be absent. So in such cases, we have to inject tracer particles before the meter. Enough number of tracer particles such that we can have a good pattern. So I think with that, let us stop today. Tomorrow we shall discuss about maybe a little bit of medical ultrasound preliminaries. Okay, one more topic remaining, transit time flow meter. Okay, that was very simple. That also we will discuss tomorrow.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I had a very basic doubt. Like in the ultrasonic, so just a minute, there's some noise.
Yeah, just 1 minute. Let me. Yeah, tell me. Tell now.
Yes, sir. So sorry, sir. Actually, there was some noise. Sir, in the ultrasonic Doppler flow meter, we can see that the transmitter signal is reflected by the particles of the flowing, of the fluid, and then we are receiving it. So that concept is like more or less clear. But sir, in this one ultrasonic cross correlation flow meter, if the flow is completely laminar, then both the signals of both the received signals of Rx1 and Rx2 will be exactly same, right? Then what, like, then how will we calculate the velocity flow? Like, I'm not able to understand the principle behind this.
Let me unmute. Okay. So the pattern here, XT patterns, depending on this scattering, okay. So there will be some patterns will come. So suppose the pattern is like this, okay, like now. If the distributions, if L is sufficiently small, then the distribution of this particle will also remain more or less same here. And it is expected that similar pattern or more or less similar pattern will be present as is in YT. Okay. However, this pattern will come after certain time because the pattern which is available at this place, so that will be delayed. Maybe we can draw some other part. So after some time, so if this is T0 here, okay, so then this part is with respect to this, if we put same time reference, electrical time reference, if it put in same, so then this would be T equal to tau, okay. So
Okay.
corresponding to
So sir, YT would just be a bit phase shifted from XT, right?
yeah, ideally if it is phase shifted. So if it is phase shifted, then only what will happen, then we will get the perfect output.
Okay,
So
so
if
what
it
is the correlator doing, sir, here?
the correlator will be say x cross x vector if I correlate with y, okay. So then this will give this is t equal to tau, okay. So corresponding to the tau time, we will have this maximum will occur there, okay.
Oh, okay, sir. Thank you, sir. I understood.
So the correlation function is a function of the delay that is associated. So basically, delay tau will be given to YT. Tau will start from here, so we will don't have much correlation, some bit. Then when it is coming at this, then we will have the maximum correlation. Okay.
Thank you, sir.